Hello and welcome to Tea Leaves Programming. Today we're gaming like it's 1979. This is going to be, I believe, the second to last episode of our Let's Play of the classic 1987 Mac puzzle game, The Fool's Errand. So before we get started, I have a little bit of errata to share with you. Some of it goes back to things that I said earlier and got wrong. So while getting set up today, I pulled the About screen that you get if you go to the Apple menu and choose About the Fool's Errand. In fact, why don't I do that? Show you how that's done. And first of all, I never knew. In all these years playing, I have never noticed that it actually tells you exactly how many pieces of the puzzle are missing. So we only have 3 left. Now, my nightmare, apart from the one about waking up in class and finding out that I didn't know I was taking the class on the day of the exam, my nightmare is that I'm not going to be able to solve these last 3 puzzles, even though I've already done, 60 or however many there are. So I hope you'll bear with me as I tackle these last 3 puzzles and then go on to the sun's map. The other thing that jumped out at me was this version 3.0 1998. I thought, isn't that nuts that he was still releasing updates in 1998? And it turns out this was an update where he officially, Cliff Johnson, that is, the creator, officially made the game free. And 1998, if that sounds like a fairly internet-savvy date, that's because he had put this version on his website. There are a couple of other changes to this besides the version number. The major one is that he removed all the sound effects. So in our very first video, you might remember me saying, gosh, I thought there were sound effects with this. There were back in 1987, but not now. There was version 1.0, came on 2 400K floppy disks. No, 3 400K floppy disks, and version 2.0 came on 2 800K floppy disks. The other change that I saw mentioned is our menu bars here that say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back in the day, they actually were Roman numerals. So Roman numerals 1 through 5. And he kind of used a sort of hack to accomplish that, and eventually in successive versions of macOS that stopped working, and he said, it's not worth having to maintain this just to make that work, so let's just change it to normal numbers. So there may be some other changes. Mostly my understanding is that version 3.0 has to do with making it work on newer versions of macOS. And with that, let's get going. So we've loaded in, we're on the puzzle of the century here. Let's look at the menus to remember where we are. We've got the sun's map still undone, and these 3 puzzles here. So the century is really the only puzzle we can do. Take the blood of a man killed by tenants. An important question is, do you stop to read the text? And if it's your first time playing, you probably will. When you do the sun's map, you will have to come back and read this text. So I don't know that it really does a lot for you other than vibe to read it while you play. I usually do. I'm not reading it on the video because to me that's not interesting YouTube, but we'll give it a go. All right, so medal minus meal equals ? Well, if you remove M-E and A-L from the word metal, you're left with a D, so that feels like that. Cloak minus lack. This is kind of a very standard cryptic crossword sort of puzzle, and this is one of those, sometimes you come back to these after 20 years and you're not sure you remember, or you're not sure you could figure it out again. I don't actually remember this puzzle at all, but I'm also 100% positive that this is correct. And this is kind of one of the issues about Fool's Errand, is that the difficulty varies quite a bit, and I think I said this before, perhaps in our very first episode. If you look at all of his games, the band of difficulty is different for each one. So Fool's Errand, I would say the difficulty ranges from trivial to pretty tough, not impossible, pretty tough. 3 and 3, to me, has the perfect difficulty. There are very few puzzles in 3 and 3 that are just throwaway trivial, but there are a few that are, actual brain burners, but not too many. Puzzle Gallery, all of the puzzles are kind of like right down the middle, medium length. And then The Fool and His Money, for me, the definition of the problem of that game is that the puzzle difficulty is just everywhere. It starts at the, obvious, you glance at it and you know what's going on, and goes to, I'm an old man who's played all of these games, and I can't even begin to explain to you the logic behind some of the puzzles in Fool and His Money. So least minus late is S. Treat minus rate, it's got to be T, right? Yeah. Poach minus chap. Apple minus peel. There's 2 P's in apple. We're removing one of them, left with 1 P. About minus boat. U. And I think we could all see where this is going. Do not try to stop us. Do not try to stop us, the father shouted. We will not take part in this horrible war. Speaking of difficulty, I just finished another game called the Talos Principle 2. And I really liked the way they dealt with difficulty in that game on this topic. There's a certain number of puzzles in the game. You have to pass a certain number of puzzles to proceed, just like in Talos Principle 1. And the 2 main changes from 1, apart from the mechanics inside their puzzles, were 1, they added a lot of signing. They realized that people were getting lost in Talos Principle 1, and they added signs everywhere. You take 10 steps, there's another sign pointing you to where the puzzles are. This is good game design. Every game should do that. The other thing they did was they added some hidden collectibles, and then at your option, you can use the collectibles to skip a certain number of the puzzles. This to me is it's really smart. Every person's brain is a little bit different. And some puzzle that you as a designer think is totally straightforward, there's someone out there who is like a perfectly smart person, not like me, who's like dumb, but like an actually smart person who for some reason their brain doesn't work like yours. And they're going to get stuck. And if you get stuck on a puzzle game, depending on how you've designed it, that can be the end of the game. And so the Talos Principle added these little skip tokens, and you can use them to skip puzzles. I don't know if this mechanic actually originates from the Professor Layton games, but that's another game that does this sort of currency-based thing, and I like it. I think it's good. I think if you're making a puzzle game, you should seriously consider it. All right, let's go into our second puzzle that we have left out of 3, the boat. All right, so we have 3 columns. Always go up and read the instructions. Okay, so the first question is, can I switch columns? And the answer is no. So these are entirely within one puzzle. Ditch feels right. This looks like empty. Stora, toast, it's not toast. I feel like ST is likely to be the end of this word. Roast. All right, now we're building on with some more things. So obviously the letter T here, anything on the crossword, is stuck. So it must start. Wait, can I? Okay, so I still cannot switch puzzles. Well, it's not going to start with a T. So it has to start, it's not going to start with an R. So it has to start with either an E or a U. Utter. How about this one? Our H is fixed. That's got to be fight, trivially. My mouse is very clicky. I apologize if those clicks come through on the recording. I've listened to it. It doesn't bother me that much, maybe because I'm used to it. If that bothers you, please leave a comment below. I'd love to know. This one, the E is fixed in place. Well, that doesn't help a lot. But I see CK, and this word probably ends in CK, and sure enough, it does. Oh, and this looks is starting to look like the key of Thoth, isn't it? He's really stuck to that theme. So our W is fixed here. Let's come back to that. How about this one where the K is fixed? But you know what? Actually, we should do this is tough. The top one is going to be the hardest because it has no fixed letters. But, oh, this is terrible. I may have ruined it because any of these, right? It's literally only the last letter, but any of these might be at issue. Okay, so I'm going to just take a stab in the dark here. And since any of these letters can play, I'm going to guess that this is throw. Aren't a lot of words that I can, the 5-letter words ending in W. I'm going to guess throw. And for this one, I'm going to move the C over here, right? Under the theory that CK seems like a good way to end a word. But now I'm kind of, now I'm getting a little attack. Just glanced over at the stream and noticed that I had somehow moved the window over half my face. Sorry, that was annoying. So now that I am over halfway done, it feels like, with this puzzle, now I notice the clues on the bottom of the screen right there. So for example, let's go here, right? Course, to intersect, pursue. Some of you have probably been jumping up and down, screaming at YouTube while I suffer trying to solve this just based on the letters themselves. But so that's how it goes. Sometimes you don't see things. So we've got course, meaning not fine, to intersect and pursue. I also don't know, because I wasn't paying attention before, are these in any sort of order, like 1, 2, 3, and how would I know? So we know the C is fixed and the R is fixed. Well, to pursue, the most obvious choice would be chase, right? So if we assume that chase is correct, and now that immediately suggests rough as course, but then that doesn't fit because we would need the R from there. Or rather, we need the H, right? Oh, but if we need the H, the chase doesn't have to be there. It could be there, right? I did not expect that. Okay. So what was it? I can't go back. It was to intersect was cross. I didn't even see that and stumbled across it. To fret and to surrender with a fixed R. There's a Y. I think this has got to be worry, right? It's to fret. To surrender is to yield. Parasite, body area, and chalkboard. What is a parasite? A worm, a leech? Our H is fixed, so it sounds like maybe leech goes here. Body area. Chalkboard. Do any of these feel like chalkboards? Slate. I guess it is a chalkboard, isn't it? So that leaves body area with starting with T and its torso. A crevice, rather stupid, or a word. Crevice, I think, is crack. That word keeps coming up here, doesn't it? Rather stupid. It was crass. Okay. Incorrect. Incorrect's going to be wrong. Finally. And avarice. Avarice is going to be greed. Getting down to the end here, I think. Disorder, a shove, and metal links. Disorder feels like it has to be chaos. Right? Metal links would be a chain. I'm going to assume these go in order. A shove is a nudge. All right, 3 more. Fresh, a doorway, small change. Starting with, one word starts with C and one word starts with E. Entry could be a doorway, right? I feel like when I'm doing puzzles, and this is maybe one of the most self-conscious, you have to be not that self-conscious, I feel like, to do YouTube. Either you're doing something really super polished and you've got ring lights, maybe you have a staff and you're well put together. That's one way to do it. That's not the choice I've made. I just go on camera looking like this. But I am self-conscious, not about my beauty, obviously, but about my posture. And when I'm doing puzzle games, a lot of times I worry that playing it and kind of, you get into it and I go slack jaw, and I worry that I'm looking ridiculous doing that, but what can you do? And having vamped about that, I think the synonym for fresh he's looking for, my eyes are suggesting crisp, which would leave penny. Yep, that does it. Now where it looks like we're crossing the crosses. All right. An explanation and to get up. Well, to get up has to be a rise. And alibi for explanation. An odor, that's going to be aroma. And to shun, avoid. A unit of weight and an expanse, ounce. And a range. Is a range? No. Expanse is a range? Okay. To arrange and a moron. Well, I used the word idiot earlier today in private conversation, talking about myself. And a line was the other one. Let me be, she croaked. Croaked. Is that the final clue? No, it's still puzzled. Oh, is that here? Okay. Despair. Okay. That's 2 out of our 3 remaining puzzles. Let me be, she croaked, much to his surprise. I am the shadow of despair. It falls to me, and me alone, to bear the burden of the land's grief. Now begone, or you too shall share my fate. The fool did not have to be told twice. So I believe this is our last non-Suns map puzzle. So I'm going to be confident here. The last time you saw one of these puzzles, I told you that I felt very uncertain that I could do it. And I ended up doing it pretty easily. So I'm going to try again, and this time I'm going to try and be confident. This is going to be easy. So for the first time in my life, I'm going to consciously try to deal with one of these, like systematically. I'm not going to press every button here. Well, I am going to press every button. What I'm going to try and do is just press every button and look at which ones affect which zones. And I saw a nice one that the first lowercase g looked like it affected the middle. Okay, so there's only like 4 or 5 that affect the middle. And what can we do here that's going to put together something that looks like a letter or a number or a symbol in the middle? Which ones get us closer versus farther away? Like that feels like it's moving us farther away. Cue what I was saying earlier about going slack-jawed. All right, I don't feel like I'm working on the middle here very effectively. Let's see if we can do the end. So that E is a maybe. That's a maybe, that N. So which ones affect the end? I'm going to select them all first. That looks like that might be an S, doesn't it? Okay, I'm going to select them all. Could be an L there. All right, so I think the ones that are currently selected are all the ones that have some effect on the end. And I do have a belief that maybe S is what we're looking at here. There was one other, wasn't there? There. All right, so that's that one. Let's flip to the other side now and do ones, press all the buttons that have to do with the beginning. But first I'm going to take some notes. I want to write down which ones affected the end so that I don't forget. Okay. Probably won't matter, but okay, so we've got, yeah, that one. Arguably does. That one. Yeah. Yeah. So that I feels very bad to me. I'm going to click that I off first. That G feels bad too. We definitely got a letter taking shape in the middle there too. Yeah, definitely. All right, so now we got, I'll take my notes again. Okay, so now we just need to do this left letter. I know the T only affects the right-hand side. N messes up the U. So anything that messes up the U or the S is out of contention, right? So we've got, what do we have left? We have I. Oops, I just messed that up. We have G. And we have S. So it's just those 3 letters. So some permutation of I, G, and S. Pus, everyone's favorite word. All right, and so now we have all the map pieces, but they're not arranged in the correct order. Only the Book of Thoth remains unsolved. And if we go up and look here, wasn't there, did we already do that one? Right, so this annoys me because this scroll, is it this scroll? I thought it was this one, was not choosable before, but doesn't seem to have a puzzle with it. I must be misremembering. I just simply must. All right, so what happens now? Well, now we go to the sun's map. We can click these open. And now the only thing left to do in the Fool's Errand is unscramble this map. That is going to be hard. Even though I've done it before, I don't remember any of this puzzle. This is all about going back and using the clues that we uncovered to figure out what's the order, what was the path that the fool took. I can't even say for sure how long this is going to take. I'm a little bit intimidated at doing this on camera, but I'm gonna. If it turns out to take like hours and hours and hours, I may have to edit out bits where I'm staring at the screen going for 10 minutes or longer. But who knows? Maybe it will be faster than I think. But I'm not going to try and do it today. I'm going to cut the video here. And what you have to look forward to for next week, hopefully, is unscrambling the sun's map. So thank you for the 3 or 4 of you who've come along with me on this entire journey. I did not really think I was going to finish the entire game while playing online, and my initial intent was just to show off Fool's Errand and give you the feel of it. But we've come this far, so why not go the rest of the way? This has been Gaming Like It's 1979. You're watching the channel Tea Leaves Programming. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your mom. There's this great channel and you should watch it. It really does help the channel. Thank you. This has been Gaming Like It's 1979. Thanks for watching.